Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Bitsko. I'm a retired police captain with 24 years of experience out of Las Vegas. Currently, I travel the country and I teach resilience and mindset to first responders, specifically on how to deal with critical incidents and manage those difficult emotions that come along with that. So, today, I'm going to talk about having faith in yourself and knowing that having self belief and working to become a better you and knowing what your capabilities are, it's not arrogance, it's confidence. When I was a younger cop, I at times was accused of being arrogant. And some of that is how I communicated with people. And, some of those accusations were pretty spot on. But as I became older and more experienced, I learned how to walk that fine line of not only having confidence, but having faith in my abilities and knowing that, as a police officer, as a canine handler, I've been in these situations that I was put into before and I was successful in them. I also learned a lot through my failures. And, a perfect example is I started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in about 2014. So I was a little bit older. I was in my 30s. I was in really good shape. I boxed before and I had no idea what I was getting into. And I walk into the gym, Sergio Pena's in Las Vegas, and I talked to Sergio, nicest man in the world, also just a stone cold killer, one of the best jujitsu practitioners in the world. And, he's, hey, kind of talked to me about what we were going to do. We were going to drill a technique and then we were going to, roll or, live spar with somebody. And so I went through and learned an armbar or whatever I learned on that first day. And he put me with his son, who was like 17 at the time. Now I'm 6'1", about 205 pounds at the time, a little heavier now. But I was strong. I was weightlifting all the time. Like I said, I had some background in combat sports, but never anything like wrestling or grappling. So he put me with his son, who was probably at the time 120 pounds. And I remember having the thought, like, oh, I don't want to go hard on this kid. I'm going to hurt him. And he proceeded to whoop my ass for 10 minutes. Um, and really was eye opening to me. And so then he put me with one of his female students who'd been training for a long time, and she whooped my ass for 10 minutes. And I remember sitting next to Sergio after, and I remember saying, there can't be humans that look like this that can do that to me. And that was the big driver. And as I continued to train, I just lost over and over and over again. And I went from awful to just bad to okay to, as today I'm pretty good. I'm not great. There's levels to it, and there's so many people better than me. But it was that experience of putting myself in those situations, losing a lot, but learning from it and keep coming back. And through that, I built that confidence that carried over into other aspects of my life, like either whether it was personal relationships or work or conflict while at work. And it just made me overall a better human. So, it taught me a lot about myself. It's hard to be super arrogant when you're, doing a sport like that and losing a lot. So I learned a lot about myself, but it did increase my confidence in other aspects of my life. And to somebody that isn't confident, confidence can be mistaken for arrogance. And so being able to be humble while still having faith in yourself and your skills and your abilities, and knowing like at work, you have practiced and you have become better at whatever it is. If it's being a police officer, be the best police officer you can be. If you're being a firefighter, the same thing. And knowing, how to do the job and becoming an expert in your field, having the confidence that you've been in these situations before and you can handle it, that will just make you a more confident human being. But having the ability to be humble, that's how you don't cross that line into arrogance. And that was a lesson that I had to learn again through jujitsu and losing and just with life and life experience. But that confidence can impact the people around you, and other people start having that same faith in you that you have in yourself. But again, it's hard. Negative self talk is real. If you are always so hard on yourself and beating yourself up for every mistake, then that it changes how you see yourself. So, making sure that, okay, I lost. Let's say I've done several jujitsu competitions. I did this competition and I absolutely lost. I completely, you know, failed. I didn't get a submission. The first round I was out. But I take that as a learning experience. And it's the same thing at work. You're never going to make every decision right. You're never going to make every leadership decision right. So, something that happens when you become a leader is, you start to think, I cannot make a mistake. But as a leader, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to handle situations incorrectly. You're going to handle interpersonal relationships incorrectly. But owning up to the mistake and being humble and having the conversation and working on getting better every time, even when you make those mistakes, they won't have as big of an impact, number one, on the people around you. But also, again, you start to build that confidence. Well, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. So just remember is you can have faith in yourself even if you lose, because you can take that as a learning opportunity. So thank you for listening to our podcast today. I hope you were able to gain some value from it. And if you did, subscribe to the podcast. We'll be doing these quite often and giving little nuggets. And then we'll have some longer podcasts too, where we get it more in depth into stories and different experiences. So thank you. Thank you for listening.